Hi Floss Tube. Happy Tuesday. August 11th, I think. I was bad with the dates before. I've been super bad with dates since March 13th. That's the last day I remember. That's the day everything closed. I'm Helen D. Thank you for spending some time with me. Just a regular update. It's been a couple weeks. I had some things to share. This is my quiet time. My husband just went to his piano lesson and my son's upstairs playing his game, so I pulled everything down. August is underway. It's been a sticky summer for us, hot and sticky. Maine typically does not we get into the 80s and we can get into the upper 80s, but we typically don't get into the 90s very often. And the humidity is rough. I mentioned in my last video that it had been sticky, and a couple people said, oh, well, how hot is hot for Maine? Like you envision us being crisp, cool air, which generally we are. The problem is when it is sticky, because it's so infrequent, no one has air conditioning. You know, everyone, I know maybe 2 people that have like whole house air conditioning or a heat pump. We all just have window units like in the bedroom so you can try and get some sleep. And that's it. And some years we don't even bother to haul ours up because it's in the basement and it's like, that's too much work. I'm gonna haul it up there and set it up and get the screen out of the window and use it twice. We've used it this year. We actually put both of them in this year, which one of them we had not used since my son was a baby. We had it in his bedroom, but that's in the office now where my husband's been working, and that's the front room, and it gets hot in that room. It's actually right above this room. This is the dining room. It's right above this room, hot. So they're out and they're running. Our garden is doing well. We have a little garden just right in front of the house, right on the front lawn, because that's the only spot we get enough sun. So sorry neighbors that you had to look at our garden, but it's on the front lawn. We did strawberry jam, but we didn't grow those. We went and picked them. We had enough pickling cucumbers that I made a small batch of relish. It was 5 4-ounce jars, so the quarter pints. Quarter pints, half jelly jars. And we have enough to do another batch of relish this week, but not on the hot day. It's supposed to be back to low humidity at the end of the week. And then we have tomatoes, but we have 1 red tomato. So we're waiting for those to ripen up because that's what we planted the most of, and we have tomato plans. This is our first year canning. We want to do sauce. I want to do just like some crushed tomatoes, maybe salsa. We'll see what we have tomatoes for. Sauce is the priority. We made sauce last year with tomatoes, but we froze it. But we are trying canning this year because we lose power frequently. So anything that you can store not in the freezer, perfect. So that's the plan. Only other thing going on, I got my hair cut. First haircut since the beginning of March. I went in, my normal lady hasn't come back. I don't know if she will. Someone else in the salon had an appointment, the woman who cuts my son's hair. And she said, oh, is this your first cut? I said, well, it's my first professional cut. Since March, I have cut it, John has cut it, my mom has cut it. My son offered to cut it, but I wouldn't let him. So I said, it's the first professional cut. So just take that for what it is and clean it up. So she did, just in time because it was just everywhere with the humidity. When you have short hair, and I've had short hair since high school, you like it short. You don't want it midway. So other than all that, I have been stitching. I have a few finishes to show you, and then just what I've been working on. So we'll start with finishes. Like I had mentioned, I'm trying to finish something every week just to try and work through the finishes I have piled up. So this week, or last week, This is Mary Hollyberries. It's by With Thy Needle and Thread. I know it is available on her Country Stitches online, on Brenda Gervais' website. I did it on an 18 count, so it's tiny ornament size. I had done one of these for a swap with my local stitchy group at Christmas time and stitched one for myself, but I hadn't finished it, so that is done. I think in my last video I had just finished stitching this. So I now fully finished the Autumn Whirligig by Heart and Hand on my little pedestal. And I have two of these little pedestals because then I stitched and finished, since I saw you, the Halloween one. Hocus Pocus Halloween is what that's called. So he is done. I might sneeze. My allergies this week. My mom always used to say she could tell when we were getting close to it being school time because my sister and I were snotty messes because we tend to have late summer allergens. Ragweed. I have hay fever, so whenever they would hay the field, and at my parents' house they hayed the field, I was a mess. Luckily I'm in town now, so they don't hay any fields around here. So I fully finished those. Then I actually was feeling pulled toward working on some whips, which has not been the case. So I pulled out my whips that were closest to being finishes, and I have 3 fully finished things. 2 are smalls. Oops, this one has a thread that needs to be cut. This is Gathering Berries from Luminous Fiber Arts. And it's so sweet. Mine is tiny because I decided to do this one on 20 count Vintage Country Mocha, which you can get from 123. And that way I could only use 1 strand of floss. I used Gentle Arts Cranberry. And I did like 1 whole row and then 1 whole row back and still got plenty of variegation. And I sewed it in hand with the sewing method just to try that out. It's hard I find it hard with 2 strands, but with 1 strand it was pretty good. I'm not going to switch to that, but it worked for this one. So I don't know how I'm going to finish that. And her chart calls for some buttons, but I don't think I left space for the buttons, so they may not have any buttons. We'll see. And then the other one I finished was the little Harvest Small from the jars. This was the Harvest Jar chock full. This was the small in that chart. So that one is done and should get finished up for fall. The other one I finished, I'm so glad. It was kind of a small finish, but kind of a big finish. I've been working on these reindeer. Giggly Wigglies reindeer. This is by the Trilogy. It's an older chart. 2015, so not too old. You can still get it. I have a stand that I found at Joann's last year that these are going to go on, and I knew I wanted to do them for Christmas gifts. I needed 4 of them. And I didn't need the whole stack. So that's why I chose this chart, is because I could start here and I needed up to this reindeer. So I have 3 that are up to that reindeer. And this is doubloon. Picture this plus 16 count doubloon. And the extra fabric is just so I could cut it nice and skinny and not waste a ton of fabric, but still fill it on a Q-snap. So I was finishing this one, talking to my stitchy group. We have Zoom meetings, and I was like, oh, you guys, I'm really kind of tired of stitching those reindeer. And my friend Cheryl says, pick different reindeer. I can pick different reindeer. So for the last one, I picked different reindeer. Just the bottom 3 are the same, but then I was able to do some different ones up top, just to mix it up so it's for my own sanity. So those are complete. I will fully finish them and they'll be ready to roll. Now I can take all the floss out of that bag And it's funny because never have I needed Weeks Dye Works cocoa more than it was in this bag. I kept being like, where's my cocoa? Where's my cocoa? Oh, it's in that bag with the reindeer. And then I finished them, and last night I needed cocoa, and I looked in this bag, and I pulled it out, and it wasn't in there anymore. So those guys are done. Yeah, that's all my FOs. So when I finished those, then I moved over to some whips. I'm working on Chalk Talk Autumn from Hands On Design. I'm doing the big one. I love those as well, but I'm doing the big one. I'd done the winter one that was in that Keepsakes calendar a few years ago. She is releasing a new winter one, so if you don't have that, never fear. Kathy has us covered. Oop, this one's still snapped up. These are meant to fit in an 8x10 frame, and that was my plan, was a simple white 8x10 frame. So I went through all my fabric, and I didn't really feel like stitching it on solid black. So I found this piece of gray that I had dyed. I swear I counted it, and I swear it was a 16, and that's the size you need for it to fit in an 8x10 frame. Too big. It must be like a 15. So that's where I'm at. That's kind of the bottom half. It will barely fit on this piece of fabric that I cut, and then I'll have to come up with a different way of finishing it. I'm using the called for colors, except there's a brown, it's DMC 7, and I couldn't find my 7 anywhere, so I had to just pull another brown. And then last night when I worked on it, the blue that it calls for was just a smidge too blending in with my fabric. So I just brightened it up a smidge. So that one I'm gonna keep plugging away at. Sometimes the darker fabric, I have 2 projects going at once because it's hard for me to work on it at night. Although we did just move our living room or upstairs room around, and I was able to pull my outlet back out, so that will help. I wasn't able to have my outlet out for a while because where I was sitting, it was too close and it reflected off my paper and it was just too bright for my eyeballs. But we moved it around. We're making room. We still don't know what the school situation is going to be. We're still waiting for the school board. They vote this week. Then we can make our decision. Even if we do go back, I have a feeling it's not going to be all back forever. It's going to be part back. It's going to be all home. So my husband has a desk at work. He's self-employed, so he has, he brought his own one of those rise up desks, and it's at work, and he has to go in later this month for the first time to install something. And he's going to bring that desk home, because the desk we have him set up on right now, my son, is an ancient wooden thing, like the drawer doesn't squish in that you put your keyboard on. It's tiny. It's not long. It's not a long-term desk. So we thought we'd get him set up with a bigger desk. The other piece I worked on, this is Hall. This is a whip, I guess, but I finished it last night. Hold on, my nose. And now it's the finish. Is part 3 of Christmas Square Dance came out by Heart and Hand. And I was doing them just like this. And I was waiting for this part because it had the little hats. So I started this for Christmas in July and just did the 2 parts in the bottom, and then got this chart and put the hats on. I love this, it's adorable. This is doubloon as well. I had a giant piece of 16 count doubloon that I'm still working through. I like it because the white shows up. So I used the called for colors mainly because I had them, but some of these little bits are so small you could easily swap out to the DMC, which is listed. She had, or she mentioned, I don't know if it was in the chart or on her website, I had already cut my fabric and started. There's 12 of these little squares. And she said, oh, you could put this home for the holidays on the bottom and then do like 4 rows of 3 to put them all in. which would have been adorable. And honestly, it wouldn't have been that huge of a project because these whip up really quick. But I'd already cut my fabric. So I did that one. I think I showed this. I did Wish on its own. I have to sew the buttons on, but I'll iron them first. And then I think I would like to do Sweets as its own and Jolly as its own. And then the next set, the last set, has my favorite one in the whole bunch, which is Santa and some tiny reindeer. So I'll end up getting that set so I can do that. And then I can put them all in a bowl together. That's the plan anyway. So that is finished up. And that was nice to get another whip off the pile. I don't know what I'm down to now on whips. I might be close to 20. That would be nice. We'll see how much more I can get done. I'd like to end this year. Last year I think I had 17. I'd like to be below that, but we'll see. So that's what I've been working on. I did get a couple of gifts in the mail this week that I thought I would share, and then I actually have some haul, which I've been good, and I haven't had any haul. I have some haul this week. So we'll do the gifts first. Karen had won a giveaway a while ago from me, and she's just sent me a little thank you gift. It's one of those thread keeps, is that what they call it? Samplings of memory. It's bling for your threads. So now I'll have blingy threads. So that's super cute. And I don't have any of those, so that was sweet. And then Anita had reached out to me and said that she had some 14 count Aida that she wasn't using, and she knows I stitch on Aida. So she sent that to me, and she also sent me a bag, which is beautiful. Purple's my favorite. And it's all quilted on the back and fancy. Actually, it's all quilted on the inside too and fancy. So thank you so much, Anita and Karen. I will put those things to use. Haul. Let's do a giveaway first. Carla at Cobweb Corner, who just got hit by those storms, those crazy storms, like in Iowa, in the Midwest. I saw the pictures that she posted. Big trees down, and luckily she didn't have like house damage, less property damage, but not like the house, and everyone's okay. But those were some major storms, and I saw someone else post a video on Instagram with just the wind and everything just being horizontal, and that must have been scary. We had a tiny storm here last week. It was the remains of the hurricane. And we were out, you know, making sure everything was tied up, all the tomatoes and stuff, but other than a few leaves, we lost one sunflower. It was nothing compared to those storms. So Carla reached out and asked if I wanted to do another giveaway. I said, of course, I love giveaways. Who doesn't love giveaways? I said, seems I have moved on to fall and Halloween. Let's do a fall and a Halloween. So we have Homespun Elegance Pumpkin Pickin' Truck, and these are pretty small, 68 by 46, so it would be about 4.5 by 3 on a 30 count is what it calls for. It uses weeks, but it does give the DMC and the anchor if that's your preference. So if you're interested in the truck, why don't you say I would like to stitch the truck. And then the other one is a classic Prairie Schooler Double Double. I would like to stitch the witches, would be for this one. I started this one. I was using Lugana. I hated it. I gave it to my friend Cheryl. I'm like, here you go, finish this up and it's yours. And Cheryl said, are you sure you don't just want me to finish that and give it back to you? I said, no, just take it. And I will do it another time because it was frustrating. So I would like to stitch the witches. I would like to stitch the truck. Be over 18, don't say giveaway. Be a subscriber. Huge thank you to Carla at Cobweb Corner. If you're looking for anything, she has new supplies. She has a lot of older charts that she gets in. She has great stuff. She's DMC. She still has a lot of the fancy floss, although everyone's having a hard time getting the fancy floss. Let's be honest. There are still some colors that aren't coming in. So, now haul. Carla sent me Liberty Lodge. I love this one. It was a club kit and it just came out. That house is huge. Can't be too big. The whole pattern's not super huge, but it looks huge. But I really love it. And I saw someone do it already without the border, and I thought that looked really pretty too. Then I picked up, when I ordered Christmas Square Dance, this was the other new Heart in Hand. It's Crow. So I'll finish that up. Penny at thedailystitcher.com got in. She's on the auto ship with Hands On Design, so she always gets her stuff really quick. I picked up Ghosties and Gourds. I'm reading backwards, so I have that to do. Top Knot Stitcher Shop. I got the latest. There's one more. This is Elemental Dragons Air. So I have one of these stitched, and now I have 2 more waiting to be stitched. And then my big haul. I'm not messing around. I got a cone of white and a cone of black. Joann's online was having free shipping, and they had cones on sale. It's like $17.50. There are 425 meters. I don't know the conversion. So this is white, Blanc white. And then I got the black from 123 Stitch. And it was a little more, it was 20, but I was ordering something else anyway. So I'm good to go with those. When I was in Joann's the last time, which I think was last week, the DMC was 99 cents a skein. So I'm ready. I will not need to buy those 2 colors. I would have gotten 3856 instead of white because I use it more, but that wasn't offered in a cone. Only a few colors are. It's not like you can get everything in a cone. So only a few colors. The other thing I bought but is not here is I did sign up for the Frosted Pumpkins new Halloween sale. It's called Midnight Way. I think it starts next week. When I ordered that, that's when I was like, I ordered that and then I kitted up another Halloween piece I'd like to start. And that's when I was like, I gotta do some of these whips to get that whip number down. So I took a weekend and I just worked on whips. I had a whip it weekend and just got done as much as I could, which was nice. And it was nice to get those off the pile, even though they were smalls, they still count. So I have that coming to start. That's in my plans. The next part of Frosted Pumpkins Chinese Zodiac comes out on the 15th. Is that Saturday? And this month should be a short one because I think it's the animals and they don't take very long. And then other plans, I'm going to keep working on the Chalk Talk because I'd like to get that done. I think it's in the same bag. Last night, or yesterday, Christy from Job Girl Stitches showed her version of this chart. It's a year in chalk, October, aptly named. She stitched hers on a tan fabric. She changed all the white to black, and it looked fantastic. And I've had this chart for a long time. But I was like, no, that's how I'm stitching mine. And I started it. So this one I think is Vintage Country, not Vintage Country. Country French Cafe Mocha. It's the other one I use all the time. So hers looked so good. That's what I'm doing mine. So that is started. That was an unexpected start, but those are pretty quick, so it shouldn't take too long. And then hopefully I'll be able to start Midnight Way on time in the other Halloween one, which is a blackwork piece. And I'm planning on using Sulky for it, so that will be nice. Actually, I used Sulky on that Hands-On Design one, the Sulky Black. I think that's it. Thank you very much. I can't think of anything else I needed to say. I'm sure it will be a couple weeks and I'll be back. Maybe I'll have more smalls done. Maybe I'll have some things finished. We'll see. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.